In this video, we're going to take some time to start talking about a very popular programming topic that is object-oriented programming. We're going to see why it would be useful via a slide in this video, and then in the next several videos, we're actually going to implement it into our JavaScript scripts. We'll see what JavaScript gives us to work with object-oriented programming. Let's start with the basics though. Let's take a look at these three words. Oriented programming just means programming that's based around some sort of concept. Objects are something we already know about. We've used objects dozens of times in this class to model after real-world things. We've used objects to model after a to-do, to model after a note, to model after a person or a car. All of these can be modeled with a various set of properties. So object-oriented programming is actually going to look pretty similar to some of the stuff we've already been doing, but with a slight twist. The twist is focused on code reusability. So let's take a look at how we might tackle a problem given what we already know. Right here, we have some code that we can definitely understand. This is stuff we've done before. We start off by creating a person object. On that object, we have a few pieces of data. We have first name, last name, and age. And we have a single method, getBio. The getBio method just returns a string that's constructed using some of that data. In this case, the first name and the age. So with this data, it would read Clancy is 54. Now, after we actually define the person object, down below, we use it. I call getBio on person. This generates that string. I store it in the bio variable and I dump it to the console. All of this should make sense since we've done all of this before. The thing I want to talk about though is how we could potentially reuse this. Imagine I needed a second person or a third, or someone gave me a list and I had to generate a new person for each one to take advantage of those methods like getBio. Currently, we do not have a good way to get this done. What we're going to start talking about though is how we can get that done. Now let's take a look at a second code sample in the after column. Now this is the stuff that we're going to learn, so I don't expect you to understand all of these lines just yet. We're going to get to all of this in the next several videos, but let's still try to break it down. The first important thing to note is that on the right-hand side, obviously, yes, we have a lot less code. The only different thing is what's to the right-hand side of this assignment operator for the person variable. Everything else is exactly the same. We still create a bio variable by calling person.getBio, and I still dump the bio to the screen. What's different is on the right-hand side. It's how we create the person. Using what we already know, we have to literally define this person object every single time. We have to set up all of the data fields like first name, last name, and age, and we have to define all of our methods getBio. We have to do this for every single person. After though, using what we're about to learn, we can create a function that serves as a template. It allows us to easily generate new people and reuse the various pieces of functionality, like the method getBio. We do not have to redefine everything for each person we want. This is going to be a great way to structure our code. Now we'll talk about how to actually set this up in the next video, but we've seen something like this before when we worked with dates. We created a new date and then we used the various date methods. Here we're making a new person and we're using the various person methods. Now, if I wanted two different people, how would I do that? Well, all I would do is I would add two calls to the person function with new up front. Here I make person 1, I have Clancy. Here I make person 2, I have Alexis. And for both of them, I'm able to easily call the bio method, get the bio, and dump it to the screen. I do it here for person 1 and down below for person 2. Now this is just a code example. I've also put together a little visualization to reinforce what I just mentioned. Down below, what we really have are two people. Here we have person 1, here we have person 2. Now, when we make a new version of something, we call that an instance. So if I'm making a new car, I would say I have an instance of car. If I'm making a new person, I could say I have an instance of person. In this case, I have two person instances. Now, what you'll notice about each person is that they come with a standard set of values. We have attributes like first name, last name, and age, and we have that for all people. And this is something that we already have in our current code. Think about our to-dos. We have a list of objects. They all have the same pieces of data. If they didn't, it would be really confusing because we wouldn't be able to do things reliably, like read the to-do object's text property to print it to the screen. If they were all different, they would basically be useless. And the same is true with our notes. If not all of our notes call called created at the same thing, it would be impossible to structure that code that allows us to sort by most recently created. Now, what's missing from this visualization are the various methods. So up above, we can see that we are able to call getBio. Down below, to add this to the visualization, we're going to create a separate box called personPrototype. The person prototype is going to define what all of the people should look like. In this case, it's setting up the methods available for each person. I have getBio used above, but I can also have other ones. For example, setName, something allowing us to change the name of a given person. Now, this is going to be linked like this. So every person we create is going to have access to the same set of methods. These methods are going to work with the instance data. So getBio is going to be unique for each person depending on what their first name and their age values actually are. Now, I do not expect all of this to make sense just yet. Here, what we're really seeing are a couple of objects with the same properties, different values, and somehow, magically, they get a shared set of methods. All of this is what we're going to focus on learning about and uncovering in the next several videos. And this is a really important topic, not just so we as developers can create new things like person, but also because a lot of this gets used internally by JavaScript. So we're also going to spend a bit of time in this section figuring out how JavaScript works behind the scenes. I'm super excited to dive into the next video. We're going to start talking about what exactly this is right here. We're going to figure out how to define this function and how we can use it with the new keyword. Let's jump right in.